The music throbbed through the dimly lit bar, vibrating against my skin like an unwelcome touch. Sweat clung to the back of my neck as I navigated through the crowd, balancing a tray of empty glasses that clinked with every careful step. My feet ached in the second-hand heels I'd bought from a thrift shop, the only pair I owned that looked nice enough for this upscale establishment. "Table 7 needs another round," Marco barked as I approached the bar, not bothering to look up from the drinks he was mixing. I nodded, though he wouldn't see it, and placed the tray down with a soft thud. The smell of alcohol and expensive cologne mingled in the air, making my head swim slightly. 6 more hours until my shift ended. 6 more hours of forced smiles and dodging, wandering hands. "You're new here." The voice cut through the noise like a blade, low and smooth. I turned to find myself staring at a man behind the bar, not Marco, who had disappeared somewhere into the back. This bartender was younger, maybe early 30s, with dark hair swept back from a face that belonged on magazine covers. His sleeves were rolled up to reveal forearms corded with lean muscle. But it was his eyes that caught me, dark as midnight, and fixed on mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. "Started last week," I managed, trying to sound professional despite the flutter in my chest. Still learning the ropes, his lips curved into a smile that didn't quite reach those eyes. "You're doing fine." He began mixing drinks with practiced precision, movements fluid and confident. "Name?" "Ellie," I said, watching his hands work. "Ellie Mason." "Ellie," he repeated, as if testing how my name felt on his tongue. He didn't offer his in return. I should have walked away, should have checked on my tables, but something held me there, watching him work. Maybe it was the way the other staff seemed to give him a wide berth, or how the security guards by the door straightened when he glanced their way. "Your tables are waiting," he said finally, placing the last drink on my tray. Our fingers brushed, and a jolt of electricity shot up my arm. His skin was warm, his touch lingering a second too long. I mumbled a thank you and hurried away, feeling his eyes burning into my back. The night dragged on, a blur of drink orders and forced laughter. I caught glimpses of him throughout my shift, always watching, always with that same intensity. By midnight, my curiosity had gotten the better of me. "Who's the new bartender?" I asked Casey, another waitress who'd been working here longer. She frowned, glancing toward the bar. "What new bartender?" "The guy who was mixing drinks earlier." Dark hair, expensive watch. Casey's face paled slightly. "That's not a bartender, Ellie. That's..." She stopped abruptly, shaking her head. "Just be careful, okay? Some men in this place. They're not what they seem." Before I could press her further, she hurried off to serve a group of businessmen who'd just arrived. I turned back toward the bar, but the mysterious non-bartender had vanished. By the time my shift ended at 3 a.m., my feet were screaming and my lower back ached from hours of carrying heavy trays. The club had mostly emptied, save for a few lingering patrons too drunk or too rich to care about the hour. I counted my tips in the back room, barely enough to cover this week's groceries, let alone make a dent in my mounting debt. The night air hit me like a slap when I stepped outside, cold and damp after the heated interior of the club. I pulled my thin jacket tighter around my shoulders, wishing I'd had the foresight to bring something warmer. The streets of Boston were eerily quiet at this hour, street lamps casting pools of yellow light on wet pavement. I'd missed the last bus, which meant another night of walking 20 blocks to my apartment in the cold. I hadn't gone more than a block when I heard footsteps behind me. Quick, purposeful. My heart rate spiked as I quickened my pace, clutching my purse closer. The city could be dangerous at this hour, especially for women walking alone. The footsteps accelerated. "Hey, wait up!" I recognized the voice instantly. Jimmy, one of our regulars. He spent most nights hitting on the waitresses and over-tipping when drunk. Tonight, he'd been particularly persistent, leaving his number on a napkin that I'd promptly thrown away. "I'm tired, Jimmy. Go home," I called over my shoulder, not slowing down. "Come on, just one drink. I know a place that's still open." His words slurred together, and I could smell the whiskey on his breath even from several feet away. I quickened my pace, but his hand suddenly gripped my arm, spinning me around. "Don't be like that," he said, his face too close to mine. "I've been watching you all night. Let go." I said firmly, trying to pull away. I'm not interested. His grip tightened painfully. Playing hard to get, huh? I like that. Fear curdled in my stomach. The street was deserted. No one to hear if I screamed. I was calculating my chances of outrunning him when headlights suddenly washed over us. A sleek black car pulling alongside the curb with a soft purr of expensive engineering. The rear door swung open, and a voice spoke from within the shadows of the vehicle. Is there a problem here? The same voice from earlier, the bartender who wasn't a bartender. Jimmy's grip loosened slightly as he turned toward the interruption, annoyed. Mind your own business, pal. The lady and I... Get in the car, Ellie. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command, spoken with such quiet authority that I found myself moving toward the open door before I'd made a conscious decision to do so. Hey, Jimmy protested, reaching for me again. What happened next occurred so quickly I barely registered it. A large figure emerged from the front passenger seat, a broad-shouldered man with a buzz cut who moved with silent efficiency. Jimmy was suddenly on his knees, gasping, though I hadn't seen the bodyguard strike him. Get in, the voice from the car repeated, softer this time. I hesitated at the open door, peering into the dimly lit interior. The mysterious man from the bar sat inside, his features half hidden in shadow. Common sense screamed at me to run, that getting into strange cars with unknown men was exactly how women ended up on missing persons posters. I can just call a cab, I offered weakly. It's 3 a.m. in a rough neighborhood and you're being followed by a drunk who won't take no for an answer, he replied evenly. I'm offering you a safe ride home. Behind me, Jimmy was still on the ground, the bodyguard standing over him with a warning hand on his shoulder. Rain began to fall, fat drops that quickly soaked through my thin jacket. Hesitantly, I slid into the car's leather interior, the door closing behind me with a soft, expensive thunk. The interior smelled of leather and some subtle cologne, sandalwood maybe, with hints of amber. The man sat across from me, his features now visible in the dim lighting. He was even more handsome up close, with high cheekbones and a strong jaw dusted with perfect stubble. He wore a simple black suit that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent. Thank you, I said awkwardly as the car pulled away from the curb. But I could have handled it. His lips quirked in what might have been amusement. I'm sure you could have, Ellie Mason. The way he said my name sent a shiver down my spine, not entirely unpleasant. I realized I still didn't know his. You never told me who you are, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Or why you were pretending to be a bartender. I wasn't pretending anything, you assumed. He studied me with those dark eyes that seemed to see right through me. And names have power, especially mine. The cryptic answer should have set off warning bells, but exhaustion had dulled my senses. Besides, there was something about him that made me feel strangely safe, despite all logic suggesting otherwise. Where do you live? He asked. I hesitated before giving my address in the rundown part of South Boston. If he was surprised by the neighborhood, he didn't show it. He simply nodded and pressed a button to speak to the driver. So, I ventured after a moment of silence, do you often give rides to random waitresses, Mr. Adriano? He offered finally. And no, I don't. Then why me? His gaze was penetrating, as if he were trying to solve a puzzle. You remind me of someone. Before I could ask who, the car slowed to a stop outside my apartment building, a dilapidated structure with peeling paint and security bars on the windows. Embarrassment washed over me as I imagined how it must look through his eyes. Thank you for the ride, I said quickly, reaching for the door handle. Wait. He pulled out a business card, plain white with just a phone number embossed in black. If you ever need anything. I took it hesitantly. Why would I need anything from you? Because life is unpredictable, Ellie Mason. And everyone eventually needs something. Our fingers brushed as I took the card, that same electric current shooting up my arm. I slipped it into my pocket, murmured another thank you, and escaped into the drizzling rain. It wasn't until I was safely inside my apartment, deadbolt locked behind me, that I realized I hadn't told him I was being followed tonight. Yet he'd shown up at exactly the right moment, as if he'd been watching me, as if he'd known. The next morning, I woke to pounding on my door. Bleary-eyed and still half asleep, I stumbled out of bed, wrapping myself in a threadbare robe. The insistent knocking continued as I peered through the peephole to see my landlord's reddened face. "Mason, open up." I reluctantly unlocked the door, opening it just enough to see him. "Mr. Finch, it's not even 9. "Where's my money?" he demanded, pushing the door wider. "You're 2 months behind, and I've been more than patient." My stomach sank. "I get paid next week. I can give you half then, and not good enough." His eyes narrowed. "I've got people lined up who can pay on time. Either you have the full amount by tomorrow, or you're out. But that's not legal. You have to give proper notice." He laughed, a harsh sound. "Sue me." "Oh, wait. You can't afford to. Tomorrow, Mason. All of it." The door slammed behind him, leaving me standing in the middle of my tiny apartment, panic rising in my throat. $6,000 by tomorrow. Impossible. I'd been struggling since losing my job at the accounting firm 3 months ago, after I'd reported my boss for cooking the books. They'd fired me instead of him, and I'd been blacklisted from every legitimate financial job in the city since. The bartending gig barely covered food and utilities. My savings were depleted, and my credit cards maxed out. I sank onto my second-hand couch, head in my hands, trying to think of a solution that didn't involve calling my ex-boyfriend Danny. He'd help, for a price I wasn't willing to pay. My fingers brushed against something in my robe pocket, the business card from last night. I pulled it out, staring at the elegant number. "Everyone eventually needs something," Adriano had said. But calling would mean owing him, and men like him, men who rode in cars with bodyguards and commanded rooms without speaking, didn't offer help without expecting something in return. Still, I had no other options. With trembling fingers, I picked up my phone and dialed. The phone rang 3 times before someone answered. "Yes?" A deep voice, not Adriano's. I hesitated, suddenly feeling foolish. I'm calling for Adriano. He gave me this number last night." A brief silence. "Your name?" "Ellie Mason." Another pause, the sound of muffled voices. Then Adriano was on the line, his voice sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. "Ellie." That was quick. I swallowed hard, pride warring with desperation. I wouldn't call if I had other options, I know. Something in his tone suggested he knew exactly why I was calling. "Tell me what you need." When I explained about the eviction, he was silent for so long I thought the call had dropped. $6,000, he finally said, voice neutral. "I can pay it back," I hurried to add. "I just need time to find a better job. I have a degree in finance, but I know who you are, Ellie Mason, 27 years old. Bachelor's in financial analysis from Northeastern. Fired from Donovan and Associates after reporting irregularities in their client accounts. Blacklisted by half the firms in Boston." My blood ran cold. "How do you—" "I make it my business to know things," he interrupted smoothly. "Especially about people who interest me." "And why would I interest you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady despite the alarm bells ringing in my head. "As I said last night, you remind me of someone." He paused. "The money will be delivered this afternoon. You'll have a job interview on Monday at 10 a.m. Wear something professional." "Wait," I said quickly. "What's the catch? What do you want in return?" His soft chuckle sent goosebumps across my skin. "Let's just say you'll owe me a favor. Nothing illegal. Nothing that compromises your values. Just a favor. To be determined later." "That's very vague. It's the best offer you'll get today, Ellie." He was right, and we both knew it. "Fine. But I'm paying back every cent. I wouldn't expect anything less." His tone softened slightly. "Stay home today. Don't open the door for anyone except my courier. He'll identify himself as Antonio." Before I could ask why, he'd ended the call. True to his word, at precisely 2 p.m., there was a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw a stern-faced man in a dark suit holding a manila envelope. "Antonio," he said simply when I cracked the door open. "Mr. Russo sends this with his compliments." Russo. So that was Adriano's last name. I accepted the envelope with a murmured thank you, quickly closing and locking the door before peering inside. Stacks of $100 bills, neatly bundled, $6,000 exactly. Beneath the money was a business card for Blackstone Financial Group, with an address in the financial district and Monday's date and time written on the back. Dread and relief battled within me. I'd solved my immediate problem, but potentially created a much bigger one. What kind of man carried, or could summon on short notice, thousands in cash? What kind of favor would he eventually demand? And most importantly, who was Adriano Russo, really? I spent the weekend alternating between anxiety and desperate internet searches. There was surprisingly little about any Adriano Russo in Boston. A few mentions at charity events, a blurry photo from a hospital fundraiser 5 years ago, but nothing substantial. It was as if he deliberately maintained a low profile, despite what was clearly significant wealth and influence. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and a persistent drizzle that matched my mood. I'd laid out my only suit, a charcoal gray pantsuit I'd bought for job interviews after graduation, now slightly too loose after months of skimping on meals to save money. My makeup was carefully applied to look professional, but not too dramatic, and I'd twisted my dark blonde hair into a neat chignon. Blackstone Financial Group occupied the top 3 floors of a gleaming skyscraper downtown. The lobby alone screamed money. Marble floors, modern art installations, security guards who looked more like Secret Service agents than rent-a-cops. Ellie Mason for a 10 a.m. interview, I told the receptionist, trying to project confidence I didn't feel. She smiled warmly. Yes, Ms. Mason, you're expected on the 42nd floor. Gerald will escort you. A security guard materialized at my elbow, leading me to a private elevator that required a keycard to operate. As we ascended, my stomach churned with nerves. Was this legitimate? Or some elaborate game Adriano was playing? What kind of financial group operated with cash deliveries and private security? The elevator opened directly into a reception area decorated in tasteful grays and blues. A different receptionist, this one a polished man in his 40s, greeted me. Ms. Mason, Mr. Bennett is ready for you. I was led through a series of corridors to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows, offering a spectacular view of Boston Harbor. Behind an imposing desk sat a silver-haired man who rose as I entered. Ms. Mason, Charles Bennett, CEO of Blackstone's private client division. Please, sit. The interview proceeded normally enough. Questions about my experience, my strengths and weaknesses, why I left my previous position. I answered carefully, sticking to the truth while avoiding mentioning Adriano or my suspicions about this too convenient opportunity. Your references from Northeastern are excellent, Bennett remarked, and your technical skills are precisely what we're looking for. But I must address the elephant in the room, Donovan and Associates. I tensed. What about them? You accused Julian Donovan of fraudulent accounting practices, correct? I reported inconsistencies in their books, I replied carefully. The next day, I was terminated for performance issues that had never been mentioned before. Bennett nodded slowly. And since then, you've been unable to secure employment in your field. It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. Yes. Loyalty is important at Blackstone, Ms. Mason. So is integrity. Sometimes those values conflict. He studied me intently. If you witnessed similar irregularities here, what would you do? The question felt like a test. I'd follow proper reporting channels, documenting everything thoroughly. If the issue wasn't addressed appropriately, I'd be forced to consider external options. I won't participate in fraud, Mr. Bennett, even passively. A slow smile spread across his face. That's exactly what I hoped you'd say. The position is yours, if you want it. Junior Financial Analyst, Private Client Division. $80,000 to start. Full benefits. Performance review at 6 months. My jaw nearly dropped. The salary was almost double what I'd made at Donovan. Thank you, I managed. When would you like me to start? Tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. He stood, extending his hand. Welcome to Blackstone, Ms. Mason. I floated through the rest of the day in a daze, stopping at a department store to buy 2 new suits I could barely afford, even with my imminent salary. By evening, I'd paid my landlord, his eyes widening at the stack of cash, cleaned my apartment, and was celebrating with a cheap bottle of wine when my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello? Congratulations on the new position. Adriano's voice, smooth as silk. I nearly dropped my glass. How did you... Never mind. I suppose I should thank you. No need. You earned it on your own merits, but you arranged it, I countered. Why? What do you get out of this? Perhaps I just enjoy helping talented people overcome unfair obstacles. I snorted. And perhaps I'm secretly a duchess. Everyone wants something, Adriano. His soft laugh warmed me more than the wine had. Smart girl. Have dinner with me tomorrow night. I'll send a car at 8. It wasn't a question, and I found myself agreeing before I'd fully considered what I was doing. After hanging up, I stared at my phone in disbelief. What was I thinking? Agreeing to dinner with a man who was clearly involved in something illegal. A man who could deliver thousands in cash within hours. Who knew details about my life I'd never shared. Who commanded respect with just his presence. A man who made my pulse race just by saying my name. The next day was a blur of paperwork, orientations, and introductions. Blackstone was every bit as prestigious as it appeared, with legitimate clients and seemingly above-board operations. By the end of the day, my concerns had somewhat eased, though questions about Adriano's connection to the firm lingered. At precisely 8 p.m., a text message alerted me that my ride had arrived. The same sleek black car waited outside, the same silent driver holding the door. This time the car was empty, but a small box sat on the leather seat. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a key. A card beneath it read, "To new beginnings. A." The car took me to an exclusive restaurant on the waterfront, the kind with no visible signage and no prices on the menu. The maitre d' greeted me by name, escorting me through the dimly lit space to a private room in the back. Adriano rose as I entered, looking devastatingly handsome in a tailored charcoal suit that emphasized his broad shoulders and lean physique. Ellie. He took my hand, pressing his lips to my knuckles in an old-world gesture that should have seemed affected but somehow wasn't. You look lovely. I was acutely aware of my department store suit and the simple bracelet that was probably the most expensive piece of jewelry I'd ever worn. Thank you for the gift. It's beautiful, but you're uncomfortable accepting it, he finished, pulling out my chair. It's just a bracelet, Ellie, not a collar. The choice of words sent a strange thrill through me. Still, it seems excessive for a man I barely know. His dark eyes glittered in the candlelight. Then let's remedy that. Over dinner. Exquisite courses paired with wines I couldn't pronounce. Adriano told me about growing up in North Boston, the son of Italian immigrants. He spoke of his father's small import business, his mother's legendary Sunday dinners, his own scholarship to Harvard Business School. Nothing that explained his obvious wealth and power. Nothing about his current business ventures. When I tried to steer the conversation in that direction, he expertly deflected. Enough about me, he said, topping off my wine glass. Tell me more about the job. Is it what you hoped for? I described my first day, the people I'd met, the projects I'd been assigned. It's legitimate, I concluded, watching him carefully. A real position with real responsibilities. Did you expect otherwise? I don't know what to expect from you, Adriano. You appear in my life like some fairy godfather. Solve my problems with a wave of your hand, and ask for nothing concrete in return. People don't do that without ulterior motives. He leaned forward, his gaze intense. What if my motive is simply you, Ellie? Then you're either lying or crazy, I replied bluntly. Men like you don't pursue women like me without reason. Men like me? One eyebrow arched. And what kind of man am I exactly? I hesitated, then decided honesty was my best approach. Powerful, dangerous, connected, the kind who solves problems with cash deliveries and has drivers who double as bodyguards. The kind who can make a prestigious financial firm hire someone who's been blacklisted throughout the industry. A smile played at his lips. And yet you're here, having dinner with this dangerous man. Curiosity, I said, and gratitude. You did help me, whatever your reasons. Perhaps I just saw something in you worth saving. The intensity in his gaze made my cheeks flush. I changed the subject, asking about the restaurant, the wine, anything to break the tension building between us. He allowed it, though his knowing smile suggested he was well aware of my discomfort. By the time dessert arrived, a decadent chocolate creation I was too full to do justice, I'd had enough wine to lower my guard slightly. When Adriano asked about my family, I found myself telling him about growing up in a small town outside Providence, my father's early death, my mother's struggle with depression that eventually led to her suicide during my sophomore year of college. "I'm sorry," he said, and the genuine compassion in his voice nearly undid me. "That explains a lot about you." "What does it explain?" "Your resilience, your determination to stand on your own." His fingers brushed mine across the table. "Your reluctance to trust." Something in his touch, combined with the wine and the emotional conversation, made me bold. "Who do you remind me of, Adriano? You said I reminded you of someone. Who?" A shadow crossed his face. "My sister, Sophia. She had your same spirit, your determination." I caught the past tense. "What happened to her?" "She died." His voice was flat. "Car accident 12 years ago." "I'm sorry." I echoed his earlier sentiment, turning my hand to squeeze his. "How old was she?" 22. Just finished college." His eyes met mine, filled with an emotion I couldn't name. "She would have been about your age now." The revelation hung between us, a possible explanation for his interest that was both innocent and somehow disappointing. Before I could respond, his phone vibrated. He checked it, his expression hardening. "I apologize, but something requires my attention." He stood, buttoning his jacket. "The car will take you home. Is everything okay? Nothing for you to worry about." He came around the table, bending to kiss my cheek. His lips lingered near my ear as he whispered, "Sweet dreams, Ellie Mason." Then he was gone, leaving me with a strange emptiness I couldn't explain. The driver appeared moments later to escort me to the car. As we pulled away from the restaurant, I caught a glimpse of Adriano in the parking lot, surrounded by 3 men in dark suits, his face a mask of cold fury that transformed him into someone I didn't recognize. For the first time, I felt a flicker of real fear about what I'd gotten myself into, and with whom. The next few weeks settled into a strange new rhythm. By day, I was Ellie Mason, junior financial analyst at Blackstone, earning a respectable salary and gradually rebuilding my professional reputation. By night, I found myself increasingly drawn into Adriano's orbit. He called or texted almost daily, though sometimes days would pass with no contact. He sent flowers to my apartment, books he thought I'd enjoy, a cashmere sweater when the weather turned cold. We had dinner twice more at exclusive restaurants, each time in private rooms with discreet service. He never tried to kiss me beyond a chaste peck on the cheek, never pushed for more than conversation and company, yet the tension between us grew with each meeting, and I still had no idea what he really did for a living. My new colleague, Vivian, raised an eyebrow when a bouquet arrived at the office one afternoon. "Secret admirer?" she asked, peering at the elegant white roses. I tucked the card, bearing only the initial A, into my desk drawer. "Just a friend." "Must be some friend," she remarked. "Those are $50 each, minimum." Later, as we shared lunch in the break room, she leaned closer. "So, what's his name?" "Whose name?" She rolled her eyes. "The friend sending you small fortunes in flowers. The one you're suddenly unavailable for after work drinks because of. The reason you're smiling at your phone every 5 minutes." Heat crept up my neck. "Adriano," I admitted. "But it's not serious." Her fork clattered against her plate. "Adriano? As in Adriano Russo?" My stomach dropped. "You know him." Vivian glanced around nervously before lowering her voice. "Ellie, everyone in Boston finance knows Adriano Russo. Or knows of him, at least. And?" She hesitated. "Let's just say he's not someone you casually date. His family has connections. Old money. Old power. Old ways of handling problems." "What kind of connections?" I pressed, though I was beginning to suspect the answer. "The kind that made my Italian grandmother cross herself whenever their name was mentioned," she said grimly. "Look, I'm not saying the rumors are true, but if even half of them are, be careful, okay?" I nodded, my appetite gone. That night, I finally did what I should have done weeks ago. I searched for Russo family Boston instead of just Adriano's name. The results were disturbing. Articles about suspected racketeering in the 1980s, a 1990s trial where 3 family associates were convicted while the patriarch, Antonio Russo, walked free. More recent pieces speculating about the family's legitimate businesses, real estate, import and export, financial consulting, serving as fronts for less savory enterprises. And there, in a 5-year-old article about the changing face of organized crime in Boston, was Adriano, described as the Harvard-educated heir apparent to the Russo Empire, who has ostensibly legitimized much of the family business while maintaining their iron grip on certain sectors of Boston's underground economy. My phone buzzed with a text from him. "Dinner tomorrow? There's someone I'd like you to meet." I stared at the message, my finger hovering over the reply button. The smart move would be to end this now, before I got any deeper. To tell him thank you for the job and the help, but that I wasn't comfortable with the relationship. Instead, I found myself typing, "What time?" The next evening, the now familiar car arrived at my apartment. This time, Adriano was inside, looking devastating in a black suit with a dark blue tie that matched his eyes. "You look troubled," he said as I settled across from him. I dressed carefully in a simple black dress, another recent purchase I couldn't really afford but felt necessary for these outings. "Just tired. Long day at work." His eyes narrowed slightly, but he didn't press. "I thought we'd have dinner at my home tonight. Is that acceptable?" Home, not a restaurant. The shift felt significant. "Who am I meeting?" "My father." The 2 words sent a chill down my spine. Antonio Russo, the patriarch, the man who'd allegedly built an empire through means I didn't want to contemplate. "Why?" I asked, unable to keep the apprehension from my voice. Adriano's hand found mine, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. "Because you're important to me, and he's important to me. It's just dinner, Ellie." But we both knew it wasn't just anything. Meeting his father meant this, whatever this was, had progressed to something more serious. Something with implications I wasn't sure I was ready to face. The car wound through the city and into the affluent suburbs, eventually turning onto a private road that led to an imposing stone mansion set back behind ornate iron gates. Security cameras tracked our progress up the long driveway, and I glimpsed men patrolling the grounds with what looked suspiciously like concealed weapons. "Home sweet home?" I asked, trying to mask my nervousness with humor. Adriano's lips quirked. "One of them. I have an apartment downtown for work nights." The house was as impressive inside as out. Soaring ceilings, marble floors, priceless artwork. A butler took my coat, and a maid appeared with a tray of champagne flutes. Adriano guided me through the grand foyer with a hand at the small of my back, the warmth of his touch both reassuring and unsettling. We entered a formal living room where an elderly man sat in a leather wingback chair. Despite his age, he had to be in his late 70s, Antonio Russo exuded strength and authority. His silver hair was impeccably styled, his suit custom-tailored to his still-fit frame. He rose as we entered, dark eyes, so like his son's, assessing me with calculated interest. "So, this is the girl," he said, his accent more pronounced than Adriano's. "Come closer. Let me look at you." I stepped forward, fighting the urge to curtsy or bow. His scrutiny was palpable as he circled me slowly. "Beautiful," he pronounced finally. "Smart too, from what my son tells me. And brave, to stand up to those thieves at Donovan." "Thank you, sir," I managed, unsure how else to respond. He waved a hand. "Call me Antonio. We don't stand on ceremony in this family." His emphasis on the word family sent a tremor through me. "Sit, both of you. Dinner will be served shortly." We settled onto an antique sofa. Adriano's arm draped casually across the back, his fingers just brushing my shoulder. The touch felt possessive, as did the way his father watched us. "Adriano tells me you're an orphan," Antonio said bluntly. "Father," Adriano warned, his body tensing beside me. "It's fine," I assured him before turning to Antonio. "Yes, my parents are both deceased. My father when I was young, my mother in college." Antonio nodded sympathetically. "Family is everything, Ms. Mason, everything. When we lose our blood ties, we must create new ones, yes? I suppose." I agreed cautiously. Adriano has been alone too long, focused on business, always business. He fixed his son with a pointed look, 34 years old, and what does he have to show for it? Money, power, respect, yes, but no wife, no children to carry on our name. I shifted uncomfortably, feeling caught in a conversation that had clearly been ongoing long before I entered the picture. Perhaps we could discuss something else, Adriano suggested tightly. Antonio ignored him. You're what, 27? Still young enough to give him strong sons. My jaw dropped at the archaic statement. Before I could form a response, a servant appeared to announce dinner. The dining room was equally impressive, with a table that could seat 20, but was set for just the three of us. Course after course of traditional Italian cuisine arrived, accompanied by wines that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Throughout the meal, Antonio questioned me about my background, my career ambitions, my views on family and loyalty. It felt more like an interrogation than conversation. And what do you know about our family business, Ms. Mason? He asked as dessert was served. I hesitated, looking at Adriano, who watched me carefully. Not much, I admitted. I know you're involved in real estate, imports, and finance. Among other things, Antonio agreed with a thin smile. We have diverse interests. But at our core, we are simply a family protecting what is ours. Sometimes that requires unconventional methods. Adriano set down his wineglass with deliberate care. Father, she should know what she's getting involved with, Antonio interrupted sharply. No good comes from secrets between family. We're not family, I pointed out, though my voice lacked conviction. Antonio's eyes glittered. Not yet. After dinner, Antonio excused himself, claiming fatigue, though I suspected he wanted to give us privacy. Adriano led me through the house to a solarium overlooking the extensive grounds, now lit by subtle landscape lighting. I apologize for my father, he said, pouring us each a glass of aged bourbon from a crystal decanter. He's from a different generation, with different expectations. About women? Or about your choice of companion? I accepted the drink, needing its warmth. Both. He settled beside me on a plush love seat. Though he's right about one thing, I have been alone too long. I took a long sip, savoring the burn. Adriano, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. His expression grew guarded. Ask. The Russo family, your father, you... I struggled to find the right words. Are you connected to organized crime? He didn't answer immediately, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. That's a complicated question. It shouldn't be, I countered. Either you are or you aren't. My grandfather came to this country with nothing, he began slowly. He built something, a network, a business, a family, by whatever means necessary in a time and place that offered few legitimate opportunities to Italian immigrants. My father expanded that empire, walking the line between the old ways and the new, and I... He paused, meeting my eyes. I've worked to legitimize what can be legitimized, to modernize what can be modernized. That's not an answer. It's the most honest one I can give. He set his glass down, turning to face me fully. My family has power in this city, Ellie. That power comes with responsibilities, expectations, and yes, complications. But I've never killed anyone. I don't deal drugs or run prostitution rings. I don't extort innocent businesses. But you have people who do those things for you, I guessed. His jaw tightened. I protect what's mine. Sometimes that requires force, or the threat of it. And what am I to you? Another acquisition to protect? A broodmare for your dynasty, as your father implied? Anger flashed in his eyes. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think, I admitted, my voice cracking slightly. You appear in my life like some dark guardian angel, solve all my problems, shower me with gifts and attention. Now I'm meeting your father and hearing hints about becoming family. It's moving too fast, and I don't even know who you really are. He moved closer, his hand cupping my cheek with surprising gentleness. I am exactly who you think I am, Ellie. A man with too much power and too little happiness. A man who saw something in you. Your spirit, your integrity, your refusal to be broken by the world, and wanted it for himself. Is that so hard to believe? Yes, I whispered, though I leaned into his touch despite myself. Men like you don't fall for women like me without reason. You keep saying that. His thumb traced my lower lip, sending shivers down my spine. What kind of woman do you think you are? Ordinary. Damaged. Poor. I see a woman of extraordinary courage and principle, a woman who deserves far better than life has given her. His face was inches from mine now, his voice a low rumble that I felt more than heard. A woman I haven't been able to stop thinking about since the moment I saw her. I should have pulled away, should have remembered all the warning signs, all the red flags. Instead, I closed the distance between us, pressing my lips to his in a kiss that started gentle but quickly blazed into something more consuming. His hands tangled in my hair as he deepened the kiss, drawing a soft moan from my throat. Mine found their way inside his jacket, feeling the solid warmth of him through his shirt. There was nothing tentative in the way he kissed. It was possessive, demanding, yet somehow still asking permission with every touch. When we finally broke apart, both breathing heavily, his eyes had darkened with desire. "Stay with me tonight," he murmured against my lips. Reality came crashing back. I pressed a hand against his chest, creating space between us. I can't. It's too much. Too fast. Disappointment flashed across his face, but he nodded, leaning back. I understand. Do you? I searched his eyes. Because I'm not sure I do. What is this, Adriano? What do you want from me? Everything, he said simply. But I'll take whatever you're willing to give. The raw honesty in his voice undid me. I surged forward again, capturing his mouth in another kiss, this one more desperate than the last. His arms wrapped around me, pulling me onto his lap as his lips traveled down my neck. Adriano, I gasped, threading my fingers through his hair. I still need time to understand what this means, what I'm getting involved in. He pulled back, studying my face with an intensity that made my heart race. Take all the time you need. But know this, Ellie Mason. I protect what's mine, and from the moment I saw you, I've considered you mine. The possessive statement should have alarmed me. Instead, it sent a thrill of excitement through my body, a dangerous warmth pooling low in my belly. This man, this dangerous, powerful, complex man, wanted me. Not as a toy or a trophy, but as something essential. I'm not yours, I said, needing to assert some independence even as my body betrayed me by melting against him. I don't belong to anyone, not yet. He echoed his father's words, a smile playing at his lips. But you will be. The car ride back to my apartment was charged with unspoken tension. Adriano kept a careful distance, but his eyes rarely left me, dark with promised pleasures that made my skin flush. When we arrived, he walked me to my door, the hallway of my rundown building somehow transformed by his presence. Thank you for coming tonight, he said formally, though his eyes burned with anything but formality. Thank you for inviting me, I replied, equally proper. We stood there, the air between us electric with possibility. Then he stepped back, the perfect gentleman. Good night, Ellie. Good night, Adriano. I closed the door behind me, leaning against it as I listened to his retreating footsteps. Only when I heard the building's front door close did I allow myself to breathe normally again. My phone buzzed with a text. Dream of me. A. I smiled despite myself, already knowing I would. The next morning, I woke to another text. Check your email. Important. Curious, I opened my work email to find a message from my boss, asking me to handle a new account, Russo Holdings. Attached were financial statements for what appeared to be a legitimate real estate corporation, with assets in the hundreds of millions. A second text arrived. Thought you might appreciate seeing the legal side of my business interests. Lunch today? I stared at my phone, torn between professional curiosity and personal caution. Last night had crossed a line, but in the cold light of morning I wasn't sure if I regretted it or wanted more. I have a meeting at noon, I typed back. Rain check? His response was immediate. Dinner then. 8 p.m. I'll send the car. I hesitated only briefly before responding. Okay. As I prepared for work, Examining the Russo Holdings documents more carefully, I noticed something odd, a recurring payment of $50,000 each month to a company called Phoenix Consulting. The amount was small enough to escape casual scrutiny in a portfolio this size, but large enough to catch my analyst's eye. I dug deeper, but found nothing about Phoenix Consulting in any of the supporting documentation. No contracts, no invoices, no description of services. Just regular payments, authorized by Adriano himself. Professional curiosity won out over personal involvement. I flagged the item for discussion, adding it to my list of questions about the account. By the time I left the office that evening, my nerves were frayed from a day spent analyzing Adriano's business empire. Most of it appeared legitimate: high-end real estate developments, import businesses specializing in Italian wines and luxury goods, investment portfolios diversified across multiple sectors. But there were other elements that raised red flags: cash-intensive businesses like nightclubs and restaurants with suspiciously high profit margins, consulting fees to vaguely named companies, real estate holdings in areas known for criminal activity. I was so lost in thought that I almost missed the black sedan parked across from my building. Not Adriano's usual car, but similar. As I approached my entrance, the car door opened, and a man stepped out. Not Adriano, but someone vaguely familiar. "Ms. Mason," he called, crossing the street toward me. "Got a minute?" Recognition clicked. Jimmy, the drunk from the club who had accosted me the night I met Adriano. Only he didn't look drunk now. He looked frighteningly sober and purposeful. I froze, keys clutched in my hand like a makeshift weapon. "What do you want?" Jimmy smiled, a cold expression that didn't reach his eyes. "Just a friendly conversation, Ms. Mason. I don't think we have anything to discuss." I edged toward my building entrance. "Oh, but we do." He moved to block my path, maintaining a carefully non-threatening distance. "Specifically, your new boyfriend." My pulse quickened. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Adriano Russo." He pronounced the name with careful emphasis. "Boston's most eligible bachelor, and most dangerous crime boss." I kept my expression neutral despite the cold dread spreading through me. "I really need to go." "You have no idea what you're getting into," Jimmy continued, his tone almost conversational. "The Russos aren't just wealthy businessmen. They're killers, extortionists, loan sharks, and you are?" I interrupted, finding courage in anger. He reached into his jacket, producing a badge. "Detective James Moretti, Boston Police Department, Organized Crime Division." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Not a drunk harassing a waitress that night, but an undercover cop. And Adriano had known exactly who he was. "I'm investigating the Russo family," he continued, replacing his badge. "Have been for years, and now you've landed right in the middle of their world." "I'm not in the middle of anything," I insisted. "I barely know Adriano," Moretti's eyebrow arched skeptically. "Meeting the family patriarch for dinner? That's more than barely knowing in their world. That's being vetted for marriage." My cheeks flushed. "You're having me followed?" "We've had the Russos under surveillance for months," he corrected. "You just happened to enter the picture, but now that you're here, maybe you can help us." "Help you how, exactly?" He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "You have access to Adriano, to his home, potentially to his business records. We need someone on the inside." "You're asking me to spy on him?" I asked incredulously. "Are you insane? Even if I wanted to, which I don't, do you have any idea what would happen if he found out? We can protect you." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Like you protected the other witnesses against the Russos? The ones who mysteriously disappeared or changed their testimony?" Moretti's expression hardened. "You've already looked into their history, so you know what they're capable of." "Is that really the world you want to be part of? The kind of man you want to be with?" The question hit too close to my own doubts. "I need to go," I repeated, pushing past him toward my door. "Think about it," he called after me. "For your own sake. You've been given a second chance at a legitimate career. Don't throw it away for a man who will either get you killed or turn you into an accessory to his crimes." I slammed the door behind me, hands shaking as I engaged the deadbolt. My apartment suddenly felt small and exposed. If the police were watching me, who else might be? Was Adriano having me followed too? The thought sent a chill down my spine. I paced my small living room, mind racing. I should cancel dinner. Should cut ties completely. Maybe even leave Boston. Start over somewhere new. But where would I go? How would I survive? And most troubling, why did the thought of never seeing Adriano again hurt more than it should? My phone buzzed with a text. Car will arrive in 30 minutes. Looking forward to seeing you. A. I stared at the screen, paralyzed with indecision. Then, almost mechanically, I moved to the bathroom to shower and prepare, as if my body had made the decision my mind couldn't. 29 minutes later, I was waiting outside my building, dressed in a simple blue dress that brought out my eyes. I'd left my hair loose the way Adriano seemed to prefer it, applied minimal makeup, and wore only the bracelet he'd given me as jewelry. The car arrived exactly on time. Adriano himself stepping out to greet me instead of sending a driver. He looked devastatingly handsome in dark jeans and a crisp white shirt, more casual than I'd ever seen him. "You're stunning," he said, eyes appreciative as they swept over me. "You're not using a driver tonight?" I asked, noticing the absence of his usual security. I thought we could use some privacy. He opened the passenger door of a sleek sports car, a Ferrari, I guessed, though I knew little about luxury vehicles. Just the two of us tonight, no staff, no security, no family. The intimacy of the arrangement both thrilled and alarmed me. As I slid into the buttery leather seat, I couldn't help wondering if Detective Moretti was watching from somewhere nearby, noting the license plate, tracking our movements. Adriano drove with the same controlled confidence he brought to everything, handling the powerful car with effortless precision as we wound through the city streets and onto a coastal highway. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in dramatic oranges and purples. "Where are we going?" I finally asked, breaking the comfortable silence. "My place by the sea," he replied, reaching over to take my hand. "I thought we could use a change of scenery, more privacy to talk." Talk. The word hung between us, pregnant with implication. There was so much we needed to discuss, so many questions I needed answered. But now that the moment was here, I found myself hesitating, unsure where to begin. We drove for another 20 minutes before turning onto a private road that curved along a rocky section of coastline. At the end stood a modern glass and stone house perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic. Unlike the family mansion, there were no visible security measures, no patrolling guards, just breathtaking architecture blending seamlessly with the natural landscape. "This is yours?" I asked, as he parked in a 3-car garage already housing 2 other luxury vehicles. "One of my personal properties," he confirmed, "not connected to the family business." The distinction seemed important to him. As we entered through a sleek kitchen with state-of-the-art appliances, I noted the lived-in touches that suggested he spent significant time here: coffee mugs hanging from hooks, a worn paperback on the counter, comfortable-looking furniture arranged to maximize the ocean view visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. "Wine?" he offered, opening a hidden panel to reveal a temperature-controlled wine room. "Please." I needed liquid courage for what was to come. He selected a bottle, opening it with practiced ease before pouring 2 glasses. "Hungry? I thought we could cook together rather than going out." The domesticity of the suggestion caught me off guard. "You cook?" A genuine smile lit his face. "My mother insisted all her children learn. Said no child of hers would starve if left alone for a week." The image of young Adriano learning to cook at his mother's side was oddly endearing, humanizing a man I'd begun to mythologize. "What are we making?" "Seafood linguine. Simple but elegant." He handed me a glass before leading me to a massive kitchen island. "You can chop herbs while I deal with the shellfish." For the next half hour, we worked side by side in companionable silence, the rhythm of cooking creating a false sense of normalcy. I found myself relaxing despite my earlier fears, seduced by the intimacy of shared tasks and the second glass of wine Adriano poured when my first emptied. As we sat down to eat at a table positioned to capture the moonlight now dancing across the water, I finally gathered my courage. "I met someone interesting today," I began carefully, twirling pasta around my fork. Adriano's eyes sharpened, though his tone remained casual. "Oh?" "Detective James Moretti. He seems to think we know each other." The fork in Adriano's hand stilled momentarily before he resumed eating. Jimmy's been trying to build a case against my family for years. The casual confirmation of what I'd feared made my stomach clench. So it's true then. Everything he said about you, about your family. Adriano set down his utensils, giving me his full attention. What exactly did he say? I met his gaze directly. That you're not just a businessman. That you're a crime boss. That your family is involved in extortion, money laundering, maybe even murder. And you believe him? His voice was soft, dangerous. I don't know what to believe anymore. I pushed my plate away, appetite gone. All I know is that I've been thrust into something I don't fully understand, caught between a man who makes me feel things I shouldn't, and warnings that he's dangerous. So I need the truth, Adriano. All of it. He studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he rose, extending his hand. Come with me. I hesitated before placing my hand in his, allowing him to lead me through the house to a book-lined study. He released me to open a hidden safe behind a painting, a cliché that might have made me smile under different circumstances. From within, he removed a thick folder, which he placed on the desk between us. My family has operated in Boston for 3 generations, he began, his voice steady. Yes, much of that operation was outside the law. My grandfather smuggled alcohol during Prohibition. My father expanded into protection rackets, gambling, loan sharking, traditional organized crime activities. He opened the folder, revealing photographs, documents, newspaper clippings spanning decades. When I took over 10 years ago, I began legitimizing our enterprises. Real estate, import, export, financial services, all genuine businesses now, though some were built with money that wasn't originally clean. And the not-so-legitimate aspects? I pressed. His jaw tightened. We still protect what's ours. We still have arrangements with certain businesses in certain neighborhoods. We still solve problems that can't be solved through conventional channels. Have you killed people? The blunt question hung in the air between us. Adriano didn't flinch. I've given orders that resulted in deaths. Yes, always of people who threatened my family, my business, or those under my protection. His eyes held mine, unflinching. I don't apologize for it. I should have been repulsed, should have walked out immediately. Instead, I found myself asking, and Detective Moretti, is he a threat? He's ambitious, but ultimately harmless. He's been trying to build a RICO case against us for years, but lacks sufficient evidence. A cold smile curved his lips. We make sure of that. By intimidating witnesses? Bribing officials? By being careful, he corrected. And yes, sometimes by ensuring potential problems disappear. The casual admission sent a chill through me. Why are you telling me all this? Aren't you afraid I'll go straight to Moretti with this conversation? No. His certainty was absolute. Because you understand loyalty, Ellie. You understand that sometimes the law and justice aren't the same thing, and because you feel what's between us as strongly as I do. He moved around the desk, closing the distance between us. Moretti approached you because he thinks you're my weakness. Perhaps you are. But you're also my strength, because you see me. All of me. And you're still here. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb brushing across my lower lip. Tell me I'm wrong. I should have pulled away. Should have denied the magnetic pull between us. Should have remembered who and what he was. Instead, I surged forward, capturing his mouth in a desperate kiss that held all my confusion, all my fear, and all my undeniable desire. He responded instantly, arms wrapping around me as he backed me against the bookshelf, his body pressing into mine with delicious pressure. Tell me to stop, he murmured against my neck, hands sliding down to grip my hips. If this isn't what you want, if I'm not what you want, tell me now. I can't, I gasped as his teeth grazed my pulse point. God help me, I can't. With a growl, he lifted me, my legs wrapping instinctively around his waist as he carried me from the study. We barely made it to the bedroom, shedding clothes between desperate kisses and whispered confessions. When he finally laid me on his bed, both of us naked and breathless, he paused, hovering above me. "Be sure, Ellie," he warned, voice rough with restraint. "Because once you're mine, I'll never let you go." The possessiveness in his words should have frightened me. Instead, it ignited something primal within me. A desire to be claimed, to belong, to surrender to the overwhelming force that was Adriano Russo. "I'm sure," I whispered, pulling him down to me. Hours later, I lay curled against his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my bare shoulder, my body pleasantly sore from our lovemaking. Outside, moonlight silvered the waves crashing against the cliffs below, beautiful, powerful, dangerous, like the man beside me. "What happens now?" I asked softly, not wanting to break the peaceful moment, but needing to know. "Now you're mine," he replied simply, pressing a kiss to my temple, "and I protect what's mine. And Moretti? Don't worry about him." His voice hardened slightly. "He won't approach you again." The implication sent a ripple of unease through me. "Don't hurt him, Adriano. He's just doing his job. As long as he stays away from you, he has nothing to fear." His arm tightened around me possessively. "But he should know better than to touch what belongs to me." I propped myself up on an elbow, looking down at his beautiful face. "I don't belong to you." A slow smile spread across his lips. "Your body says otherwise." His hand slid down my bare back to cup my bottom. "As does the fact that you're still here, even knowing what you know." He was right, and we both knew it. Despite everything, the warnings, the revelations, the danger, I had made my choice. I had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. "I need to keep my job," I said, changing topics slightly. "I need my own life, my own identity outside of this." I gestured between us. "Of course." He nodded seriously. "I admire your independence, your principles. I would never ask you to compromise them. And I need to know you won't use me to launder money or hide illegal activities." I held his gaze firmly. "I won't compromise my professional ethics even for you." Instead of anger, respect flashed in his eyes. "Agreed. Blackstone is legitimate, and your role there will remain above reproach. I give you my word." "Your word as a crime boss?" I couldn't help the sardonic question. "My word as a man in love," he replied softly. The declaration stunned me into silence. Love? We'd known each other barely 2 months, yet as I searched his face, I saw nothing but sincerity in his dark eyes. "That's fast," I managed finally. "When you know, you know." He shrugged, seemingly untroubled by my lack of reciprocation. "My family has always loved deeply and instantly. It's both our greatest strength and our greatest weakness." I laid my head back on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "I need time, Adriano. This is all a lot to process. Take all the time you need." His fingers resumed their gentle exploration of my skin. "But sleep here tonight, with me." It wasn't a question, but neither was it a command, just a wish, spoken softly into the darkness. I nodded against his chest, already drifting towards sleep, lulled by his warmth and the rhythmic sound of waves breaking against the shore. I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. Adriano was gone from the bed, but his robe lay draped across the foot, an implicit invitation. I slipped it on, the silk caressing my skin as I padded through the house, following the aroma to the kitchen. Adriano stood at the stove, dressed only in low-slung pajama bottoms, his broad back and defined shoulders on full display as he cooked what smelled like frittata. The domestic scene was so at odds with what I now knew about him that I paused in the doorway, momentarily disoriented. "Stop overthinking," he said without turning around. "I can hear the gears in your head from here." "How did you—" "I always know when you enter a room." He glanced over his shoulder, eyes warming as they took in the sight of me in his robe. "My body recognizes yours now." Heat rushed to my cheeks at the intimate statement. I moved to the coffee pot, pouring myself a cup to hide my reaction. "What time is it?" "Just after 8. Do you need to be at work?" I shook my head. "It's Saturday." "Good." He slid the frittata onto a serving plate. "Then we have all day." The prospect was both thrilling and terrifying. "For what?" "For whatever you want." He set the plate on the island between us. "Talk, make love again, go sailing, I have a boat docked nearby, or simply exist together in the same space while you process everything you learned last night. The casual options, offered without pressure, eased something tight in my chest. This man, this dangerous, powerful man who had confessed to ordering deaths, was giving me space, giving me choices. I'd like to talk more, I decided, taking a seat at the island. About us. About what this means going forward. He nodded, serving me a portion of the frittata before taking his own. Ask me anything. If I stay with you, if we do this, what does it mean for me? For my life? He considered the question carefully. It means you'll never want for anything material again. It means you'll be protected, always. It means certain doors will open for you professionally, while others may close because of the association. It means I'll be watched, I added. By your enemies. By the police. Yes, he acknowledged. There would be risks. I won't pretend otherwise, but I would do everything in my power to keep those risks from touching you directly. I took a bite of the frittata, delicious of course, while contemplating his answer. And what would you expect from me in return? Besides the obvious. I gestured vaguely at the bedroom. A smile played at his lips. The obvious is certainly a perk I intend to enjoy thoroughly and often. His expression grew more serious. But what I want most is your loyalty, your trust, and eventually, your love. I don't expect you to participate in any aspect of my business that makes you uncomfortable. I don't expect you to compromise your principles. I just want you, Ellie. The rest we can figure out as we go. The sincerity in his voice was disarming. I reached across the island to take his hand. I'm scared, Adriano, not just of your world, but of how I feel about you. It's happening so fast, and it's so intense. His fingers tightened around mine. I know. But that intensity, that's how you know it's real. We spent the day together, talking, swimming in his heated infinity pool, walking along the private beach below the house. With each hour that passed, I found myself relaxing more into his presence, into this strange new reality where I was falling in love with a man who straddled the worlds of legitimate business and organized crime. By Sunday evening, when he drove me back to my apartment, we had reached an understanding of sorts. We would continue seeing each other, but discreetly. I would maintain my job at Blackstone, and he would respect the boundaries I'd established regarding his business dealings. Most importantly, he promised not to overwhelm me with the speed and intensity that came naturally to him. I'll try to court you properly, he'd said with a wry smile as we stood at my door. Like a normal man would. You could never be normal, I'd replied, rising on tiptoes to kiss him goodbye. For the next 2 weeks, he kept his word. Flowers arrived at my apartment, not my office. We had dinner at out-of-the-way restaurants where we wouldn't be recognized. He called or texted daily but didn't smother me with constant attention. By all appearances, we were a normal couple in the early stages of dating, except for the armed driver who now picked me up and dropped me off at work each day. Except for the subtle security detail I occasionally glimpsed following me when I went shopping or met friends for coffee. Except for the way other people reacted when they saw us together. The nervous deference, the averted eyes, the hushed whispers. I was adapting to this new normal when Detective Moretti appeared again, waiting outside my building one evening as I returned from grocery shopping. Ms. Mason, he greeted me, falling into step beside me. We need to talk. I kept walking, heart pounding. I have nothing to say to you. Maybe not, but I have something to say to you. His voice was urgent. You're in danger. That made me pause. From who? From the company you're keeping. He glanced around nervously. Look, I know you've gotten involved with Russo. I know it's probably too late to talk you out of it. But you should know what happened to the last woman he got serious about. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. What are you talking about? Her name was Sophia Ki. 5 years ago, she was dating Adriano. Things got serious. Family dinners, weekend trips, the whole routine. Then she disappeared. Police reports said she left town suddenly, but nobody's heard from her since. Sophia. The name of his sister, who died 12 years ago. You're lying. Am I? Moretti produced a photograph from his jacket. A beautiful young woman with dark hair and olive skin, smiling at the camera. "This is Sophia. Look familiar?" I stared at the photo, confusion washing over me. The woman did look vaguely familiar, similar to me in coloring and build, though with darker features, similar to how Adriano had described his sister. He told you she was his sister, didn't he? Moretti pressed, seeing my reaction. That's his pattern, Ellie. He finds women who remind him of Sophia, women he can control, women who need his help. Then when they get too close, when they learn too much, they vanish. That's ridiculous, I said. But my voice lacked conviction. If that were true, why hasn't he been arrested? Because he's careful. Because he has half the city in his pocket. Because no bodies have ever been found. Moretti's eyes were pleading now. I'm not asking you to wear a wire or testify against him. I'm just asking you to save yourself before it's too late. I pushed past him toward my building entrance. Leave me alone. Just ask him, Moretti called after me. Ask him about Sophia Ki. Watch his reaction. And if you ever need help, if you ever feel unsafe, call me. He pressed a card into my hand. Day or night? I slammed the door behind me, leaning against it as I tried to steady my breathing. My hands trembled as I set down my groceries and pulled out my phone. No messages from Adriano. He was in New York for business, not expected back until tomorrow. I stared at our last text exchange. Casual, affectionate, normal. Had it all been a lie? A sick game he played with vulnerable women who resembled a dead lover he'd renamed as his sister? I should call him. Demand answers. But what if Moretti was right? What if confronting Adriano put me in danger? I spent a restless night, alternating between absolute certainty that Moretti was lying to feed his obsession with bringing down the Russos, and gnawing doubt that made me question everything Adriano had told me. By morning, I was exhausted, eyes gritty from lack of sleep, mind foggy with confusion. I called in sick to work, something I'd never done before. Then I made a decision. I would search for the truth myself. Online records were my specialty, after all. If Sophia Ki had existed, if she had disappeared under suspicious circumstances, there would be a trail somewhere. I spent the morning hunched over my laptop, digging through news archives, public records, and social media. What I found was disturbing. Sophia Ki had indeed existed, a graduate student in art history at Boston University who had disappeared 5 years ago. The police report listed her as a voluntary missing person, with a note that she'd left a message for her roommate saying she was leaving town suddenly for personal reasons. The case had been closed after minimal investigation. More troubling were the photos I found on an archived social media account. Sophia with friends at a gallery opening, Sophia on a boat, laughing at the camera. And one photo that made my blood run cold. Sophia at a charity gala, standing beside a younger Adriano, his arm draped possessively around her waist. Not his sister, his girlfriend. A girlfriend who looked disturbingly like me and who had vanished without a trace. I was still staring at the photo when my phone rang. Adriano. I let it go to voicemail, too shaken to speak to him. He texted immediately afterward. Back early from NY, coming to see you tonight. Miss you. A. Panic gripped me. I wasn't ready to face him, wasn't ready to confront what I'd learned. I needed time to think, to plan, to decide what to do. I texted back. Not feeling well. Took sick day. Can we rain check? His response was immediate. What's wrong? I'll bring soup and medicine. Be there in an hour. The thought of him in my apartment, where I couldn't escape, where evidence of my research was scattered across my laptop, terrified me. I typed quickly. No, just need to sleep. Call you tomorrow. 3 dots appeared as he typed, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, something's wrong. Tell me. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. He knew me too well already. I tried for normalcy. Just a bad cold. Don't want to get you sick before your big meeting tomorrow. A long pause. Then, Ellie, you've never lied to me before. Don't start now. What's happened? My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Should I confront him? Ask about Sophia Ki? Demand explanations for the lies? Before I could decide, a knock sounded at my door. I froze. eyes darting to the security chain I'd thankfully engaged. Through the peephole, I saw Antonio, Adriano's courier. "Ms. Mason," he called through the door. "Mr. Russo sent me to check on you." "I'm fine," I called back, voice higher than normal. "Just sleeping. Please tell him I'll call tomorrow." A pause. "He'd like to speak with you directly, Ms. Mason." "He's concerned." My phone buzzed with another text. "Let Antonio in. Please. The control, the surveillance, the pressure. Suddenly it all felt suffocating. I'll call Adriano later," I insisted. "I need to rest now." More shuffling in the hallway, then Antonio's voice again, lower this time as he spoke into what I assumed was a phone. I couldn't make out the words. My own phone rang again. Adriano. This time I answered. "What's going on?" His voice was tense. "Why won't you let Antonio in?" "Because I don't want visitors right now," I said, striving for firmness despite my racing heart. "I told you I'm sick. You're lying." His tone was flat, certain. "Something's happened. Someone's spoken to you." The accuracy of his guess sent a chill down my spine. "Why would you think that?" "Because you've never shut me out before." A pause. "Was it Moretti? What did he tell you?" The direct question caught me off guard. "How did you—" "My security detail saw him approach you last night. They didn't intervene because you seemed to be handling it." His voice hardened. "What lies did he feed you, Ellie?" "Were they lies?" I countered, finding courage in anger. "He showed me a picture of Sophia Ki. Said she was your girlfriend, not your sister. Said she disappeared after getting too close to you." Silence. Then very quietly, "Let me in, Ellie. Not Antonio. Me." "I'm downstairs." My heart lurched. "You're here? How?" "I flew back the moment you started acting strange. I've been watching your building, hoping you'd come out so we could talk somewhere neutral. But since you won't—" He sighed. "Please, let me explain in person. If you don't like what I have to say, I'll leave and never bother you again." I hesitated, weighing my options. If I refused, would he force his way in? If I agreed, was I putting myself in danger? But if he'd wanted to hurt me, he'd had plenty of opportunities already. "Fine," I said finally. "Come up." Minutes later, another knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw Adriano. Hair slightly disheveled, eyes shadowed with what looked like genuine concern. I unbolted the door but left the chain engaged, opening it just enough to see him clearly. "Take your security and go home, Adriano. I'll talk to you alone, or not at all." He hesitated, then nodded, pulling out his phone to issue brief instructions. After a moment, he put the phone away. "They're gone. It's just me now." I closed the door to remove the chain, then reopened it fully, standing aside to let him enter. He stepped inside cautiously, as if entering a minefield. I noticed he wore casual clothes, jeans and a sweater, rather than his usual suit, and carried nothing but his phone. "You look terrible," he said softly, taking in my appearance. Unwashed hair, pale face, eyes red from crying and lack of sleep. "Yes. Well, finding out your boyfriend might be a murderer will do that to a girl." The words came out sharper than intended. He flinched, actual pain flashing across his features. "Can we sit, please?" I gestured toward the couch, taking the armchair across from it, maintaining distance between us. He sat forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. "Sophia Ki was my girlfriend 5 years ago," he began without preamble. "We met at a gallery opening. She was beautiful, passionate about art, completely unimpressed by my money or my name. I fell hard and fast." I remained silent, watching his face carefully. "She did resemble my sister somewhat. Same coloring, similar features. Maybe that attracted me initially, I don't know. But she wasn't a replacement for Sophia Russo. She was her own person, and I loved her for herself." "What happened to her?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Pain clouded his eyes. "She discovered things about my business, things I hadn't told her. She found documents in my office one night when I was out. When I came home, she confronted me, threatened to go to the police." My breath caught. And I begged her not to. Told her I loved her, that I was working to legitimize everything, that she just needed to give me time. His voice roughened with emotion. She agreed to think about it, said she needed a few days. The next morning, she was gone, left a note saying she couldn't live with what she knew, that she was leaving Boston and starting over somewhere new. Did you kill her? The blunt question hung in the air between us. No. His eyes met mine, unwavering. I loved her. I would never hurt her. Then where is she? I pressed. If she just left town, why has no one heard from her in 5 years? He looked down at his hands. Because I made it that way. What does that mean? It means I gave her what she asked for. A new life, far away from me and my world. He sighed heavily. She contacted me a week after she left. Said she was terrified, that she couldn't just disappear, that people would look for her. So I arranged things. New identity, new documentation, enough money to start over somewhere I wouldn't know about, so I could truthfully say I had no idea where she was. You expect me to believe that? I asked incredulously. That you just let her go, helped her vanish. After she threatened to expose you, I loved her. He repeated simply. And yes, I let her go, because sometimes if you truly love someone, you do what's best for them, even if it destroys you. The raw pain in his voice seemed genuine. But then, he'd be an expert at manipulation, wouldn't he? Prove it, I challenged. His eyebrow arched. How? Show me she's alive, that she's out there somewhere, living her new life. He shook his head. I can't. I told you. I arranged everything so that I wouldn't know her location or new identity. It was safer that way for both of us. Convenient, I muttered. It's the truth. He leaned forward, eyes intense. Ellie, I've never lied to you about who I am or what I've done. Yes, I told you Sophia was my sister because I wasn't ready to share the full story of what happened with Sophia Ki. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. But I did not hurt her. I would never hurt a woman I loved. And you love me? The question came out half skeptical, half hopeful, more than I thought possible. He answered without hesitation. Enough to let you walk away right now if that's what you want. Enough to disappear from your life completely, to ensure no one associated with me ever bothers you again. I studied his face, the genuine anguish in his eyes, the tension in his jaw, the way his hands gripped each other so tightly his knuckles had whitened. Everything in his posture, his expression, screamed sincerity. But then, he would be an excellent liar, wouldn't he? His entire life was built on secrets and deception. I need time, I said finally. Time to think. To decide if I can trust you. Relief flickered across his features. It wasn't a rejection. At least not yet. Take all the time you need. And space, I added. No security details. No surprise visits. No Antonio checking up on me. He hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with the idea of leaving me unprotected. Moretti could be dangerous, Ellie. He's obsessed with bringing down my family. He might try to use you. I can handle Moretti, I assured him. I just need normal for a little while. Adriano nodded slowly. 1 week. Give me your word you'll contact me if anything happens, if you feel threatened or unsafe in any way. And after a week, we talk again. Regardless of your decision. It was a reasonable request. Agreed. He stood, clearly reluctant to leave but respecting my wishes. At the door, he paused, turning back to me with naked vulnerability in his eyes. For what it's worth, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you, not even Sophia. Then he was gone, the door closing softly behind him. The week that followed was the longest of my life. I threw myself into work, stayed late at the office, kept my head down. No flowers arrived, no texts appeared on my phone. No black sedans followed me home. Adriano was honoring our agreement to the letter. I missed him with an intensity that shocked me. By day 5, I'd made my decision. I spent hours drafting and redrafting a text to him, trying to find the right words. In the end, I went with simplicity. I choose to believe you, not because I'm certain, but because I want to be with you enough to take the risk. But there need to be rules going forward. Complete honesty. No more half-truths. And I want proof Sophia Ki is alive. His response came within minutes. Dinner tonight? My place downtown. 8 p.m. I'll send a car, but only if you're comfortable. And Ellie, thank you for your faith in me. I won't betray it. I texted back a simple yes and spent the next few hours in a state of nervous anticipation, changing outfits 3 times before settling on a simple black dress that made me feel confident. When the car arrived, I was ready, resolve strengthening with each mile we drove. Adriano's downtown apartment occupied the entire top floor of a luxury high-rise, with panoramic views of the city through walls of glass. He opened the door himself, looking as nervous as I felt, dressed in dark slacks and a blue shirt that brought out the warmth in his olive skin. "You came," he said, relief evident in his voice. "I came," I confirmed, stepping inside. The apartment was minimalist but warm. Leather furniture, modern art, a state-of-the-art kitchen visible through an archway. On the dining table, dinner was already laid out, a simple meal of pasta and salad, 2 glasses of wine poured and waiting. "Before we eat," he said, leading me not to the table but to a sleek desk in the corner where a laptop sat open. "I have something to show you." He pulled out the chair for me, then leaned over to type a complex password. A folder opened, revealing a single video file. "This was delivered to me yesterday, through channels so secure even I don't know their origin. Watch." He clicked play, then stepped back, giving me space. On screen, a woman appeared. Older than in the photos I'd seen, her once dark hair now lighter. Cut in a different style, but unmistakably Sophia Ki. She held up a newspaper dated 3 days ago, then spoke. "I'm alive and well, living the life I chose. I asked for freedom, and Adriano gave it to me, at great personal cost to himself. Whatever you think of him, whatever you've heard, know this. He is a man of his word. He promised me safety and anonymity, and he's kept that promise for 5 years. I'm only breaking it now because he said someone important to him needs reassurance." She smiled sadly. "Be wiser than I was. If you love him, really love him, don't run. Stay and help him become the man he's trying to be." The video ended, the screen going black. I sat in stunned silence, processing what I'd just seen. It could be faked, of course. Technology made almost anything possible. But something in her eyes, in the specific details she'd mentioned, rang true. "How did you find her?" I asked finally. "I didn't." Adriano moved to stand beside me. "I put out word through trusted intermediaries that I needed proof of life. No location or identity revealed. This arrived yesterday. I don't know where she is, who she's become. I just know she's alive and apparently well." I rose from the chair, turning to face him. "And if I asked you to let me go, like you let her go? To give me a new identity, a new life somewhere far away?" Pain flashed across his features, but his voice remained steady. "I would do it, if that's what you truly wanted. And if I asked you to leave your family business? To walk away from all of it?" This time he hesitated. "I've been working toward that goal for years. Legitimizing what can be legitimized, distancing myself from the rest. But it's complicated, Ellie. There are obligations, responsibilities. To your family," I finished for him. "I understand that. But if we're going to be together, I need to know there's an endgame, that someday we can just be Adriano and Ellie, without all the danger and secrecy and moral compromise." Hope dawned in his eyes. "You're staying?" I stepped closer, resting my hands on his chest, feeling his heart race beneath my palm. "I'm staying, with conditions." "Name them," he said immediately. "Complete honesty between us. No more secrets, no more lies, even by omission." I held his gaze steadily. "I keep my job, my independence. You keep working toward legitimacy, with a clear timeline and plan. And..." I took a deep breath. "If we have children someday, they never become involved in anything illegal. Ever." His hands came up to frame my face, thumbs stroking my cheekbones. "Children?" he asked softly, a smile playing at his lips. "You're thinking that far ahead?" "I'm a financial analyst," I reminded him. "Long-term planning is what I do." He laughed, the sound warming me from the inside out. "All your conditions are not only acceptable, but exactly what I want too. Especially the children part." "I'm serious, Adriano," I pressed. "This won't be easy. There will be times I'll question everything, times I'll be afraid, Times I'll wonder if I've made a terrible mistake, and I'll be there through all of it, proving to you every day that you haven't." His expression grew serious. "I love you, Ellie Mason. I've spent my life protecting and expanding what my family built, but none of it means anything without someone to share it with. Someone who sees me, all of me, and chooses to stay anyway." I rose on tiptoes, pressing my lips to his in a kiss that held all my lingering fears, all my cautious hope, and all the love I could no longer deny. "I choose you," I whispered against his mouth. "God help me, I choose you." His arms wrapped around me, lifting me off my feet as he deepened the kiss, pouring all his passion and promise into the connection between us. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. "Thank you for giving me a chance to be the man you deserve," he murmured. "Thank you for being honest, even when the truth was ugly," I replied, hands linked behind his neck. We had dinner that night, eventually, talking and planning and dreaming until the city lights below us dimmed and the first hints of dawn appeared on the horizon. We spoke of a future where the Russo name meant legitimate business, philanthropy, respect earned through honest means. We acknowledged the challenges, the danger, the difficult road ahead. But as I drifted to sleep in his arms, I felt something I hadn't experienced since before my parents died, a sense of belonging, of safety, of home. I had kissed a man I thought was just a handsome bartender, only to discover he was a mafia boss with a complicated past and dangerous present, and somehow, against all logic and common sense, it turned out to be the best mistake I ever made. 3 years later, as I stand beside Adriano at the grand opening of the Russo Foundation for Children of Incarcerated Parents, our infant daughter sleeping peacefully against my shoulder, I know I made the right choice. The path hasn't been easy. There were investigations, threats from rival organizations, tense negotiations with law enforcement, but Adriano kept every promise. The illegal operations were systematically dismantled or transferred to others. The legitimate businesses flourished under his leadership and my financial guidance. We built something new together, something we can be proud of, something we can pass on to our daughter without shame. And sometimes, late at night, I think of Sophia Ki, living her new life somewhere far away. I hope she's happy. I hope she's found peace. But mostly, I'm selfishly grateful she ran, that she wasn't strong enough to stay and fight for the man she loved, because her loss became my gain. And I have no intention of ever letting go. "What are you thinking about?" Adriano asks, his arm sliding around my waist as the photographers finish taking pictures of the foundation's official opening. I lean into him, our daughter stirring slightly between us. About how sometimes the wrong kiss leads to exactly the right life. His smile, still capable of making my heart race after all this time, lights up his face. "I've never made a better mistake than letting you think I was just a bartender. And I've never made a better mistake than believing you," I reply, rising on tiptoes to kiss the man who transformed from a dangerous stranger into the center of my world, my protector, my partner, my home.